Lickety split. Rescue Jaguar Louie is enjoying some fun and rather unique enrichment today. Hello and welcome, everybody. I think I might let Leo welcome us to the live across the way. A little bit of a contracted lion song from Leo, but a lion song nonetheless. Hello and welcome, everybody. Happy Friday, and you are tuned in to the Wildcat Sanctuary. So wonderful to have everyone. That is Jaguar Louie taking on just a very, very unique and creative piece of enrichment there. He has, well, he's currently working on, well, first of all, you can see there's a few different items fixated on a spindle there, and Louie's working on a blood sickle. He also has a few meat pieces on there. This frosty orb there, believe it or not, that is a frozen watermelon. It's kind of sandwiched by another piece of meat there. So Louie's got a kind of fun and exciting little, early afternoon enrichment here, and we're so happy to bringing you all along for the ride. So good morning. Hey, Lisa Wallstrom. Marianne Pretzel. Love that name, Marianne. Glad to have you with us. Clever, says Sarah Blumberg. Indeed. I think the caretakers are always full of, caretakers and interns are always full of all types of unique, whether it be, contraptions to kind of give the enrichment, or, maybe it's, the new design of kind of the donut blood sickles we've been seeing a lot this year. We know we've seen so many cool and unique things like the hanging barrel feeders, the horizontal barrel feeders. They're full of it. And at the end of the day, they're animal care professionals. And for them to have these types of unique and effective things for our wild rescues in their toolkits is, one of the reasons why we're lucky to have them as staff members here at the Wildcat Sanctuary. Last live that you saw me on and my interns on earlier this week, we got to introduce Elizabeth and JJ, two new media interns who are gracing the Wildcat Sanctuary with their presence, and Kirsten making a fun little remark saying that, did Elizabeth hit her head again today, or is she safe? And brain cells have been lost to a head bonk today, Kirsten, so have no fear. But nonetheless, great to meet those two, and it's been a full week of getting them trained, getting them, just up to speed with all things Wildcat Sanctuary, whether it's our brand voice, whether it's just getting to know some of the rescues and their stories, or heck, whether it's just IDing some of them, learning, what is the difference between this bobcat and that bobcat, or this serval and that serval. So certainly a full week, and hey, this is kind of a fun way to wrap it up. It's been a busy week, so I can imagine a moment with Louie, just as much as it's a moment for me to take a breath, I'm sure it's a moment for you to take a breath. Zooming out a little bit, the enrichment is hanging from a pretty popular hangout spot of Louie. That little A-frame structure was made by a pair of volunteers this last spring, and Louie, as you can see, he's got his little spindle hanging under that A-frame structure. But typically, we've seen Shazam. We know Shadow would kind of lay and droop herself over the log. And, well, of course, Louie does the same thing. Leopard Bentley across the way certainly has that kind of loafing where he's letting his legs droop off the log. And so I am also noticing as I'm zooming in on this log, it's not only making for a good hangout spot, but perhaps a good scratching post, too. And it's always worth pointing out, there are pieces of food on that enrichment spindle for Mr. Louie there. He's looking at a blood sickle, but this is not his diet for the day. That food is just food enrichment. And so caretakers calculate the amount of food that's on his little spindle there, and they're going to be giving him the remainder of his diet via his food chute or via tongs or more traditional methods. But I'm looking forward to, Tammy alluded a little bit about it yesterday, about next week, a fundraiser happening here at the Wildcat Sanctuary. We're hoping you can fill our freezer. That is one of the things that caretakers have been busy, is kind of table setting next week and getting some fun videos made, getting some fun photos taken. It's really been a fun week working alongside the caretaking team as they help out with some of that documentation, because there's no food or feeding without the caretaking team, and being able to catch moments like this, maybe some of the more unique feeding options, and all the different ways that we're looking forward to highlighting food and the variety of ways of how important and paramount it is to a wild at heart life. Well, that will be coming in full force next week. So I hope everybody will be tuned in for the ride. Well, I try not to get, make too graphic of comments, but Louie just kind of turned away from his blood sickle to look over at the frozen watermelon and the beef pieces. And we all know a milk mustache. Well, Louie had a little bit of a kind of blood sickle mustache going on there. But very wildcat of you, Louie. We wouldn't have it any other way. Cheryl Harden saying good morning. Hey, Cheryl. Happy Friday. Glad to have you on this live post with Louie. Denise Donovan saying, hi, Louie. Handsome boy. Is he not, Denise? Oh, so handsome. Seems a few folks watching. Ellen Carlson's watching. Hey, Ellen. Raphael Colin Jr. saying, yum. I can guarantee you that is the exact phrase flowing through Louie's head right now. And I appreciate that, Henyata. You're even more, on it than I am, it feels like, mentioning that this Sunday is the 21st of September, which is my mother's birthday. And I of course, admittedly, I get to singing Earth, Wind, and Fire, Do You Remember the 21st Night of September? So I'm always singing. Of course, we have Louie here, so I've been going, Louie, Louie. Oh, yeah. So all, of course, my little singing cues to help you remember. But nonetheless, thank you for remembering Judson Sr.'s birthday. Bella Rourke asking, Judson, if you did that picture I did for Tammy, I wanted to say thank you. You know what it is. Bella, you perhaps you were at our VIP event, and you have a photo of Tammy. And I think I do know what you mean, Bella. I've got 100 things in my head, and yes, I did do that picture for Tammy, and I appreciate your comment. Thank you, Bella. Arlene Ramirez saying, very handsome, Louie, and good morning, Judson from California. Good morning, Arlene. Oh, so Louie's now shifted over onto the next little enrichment item on his spindle. We saw him really kind of licking away at that blood sickle, but now I think he's realized that those pieces of meat are going to be a little bit more of a worthwhile something. I think it's cool to see Louie from this angle as well. You're going to be looking at not only those incredibly powerful teeth, but what is powering those teeth are those jaws. And the Jaguar, pound for pound, you're going to notice how muscular the side of Louie's head is. The Jaguars, pound for pound, have the strongest bite force in the big cat world. And so, as we often say here at the Wildcat Sanctuary, for the variety of reasons that we're a no-contact sanctuary, not only is it misleading as an organization who's trying to right the wrongs of cub petting and what people think public interactions with wildcats, or what people think are suitable public interactions with wildcats. So for that reason, we're a no-contact sanctuary as an ambassador and an educator to try to make a difference for these wildcats at large, but also very simply understanding the fact that Louie is an apex predator. He is about as dangerous comes, and which is why you're never going to see anybody here at the Wildcat Sanctuary petting. You're never going to see anybody trying to interact or get a photo or a selfie with Louie. That life is behind him. That was something he was rescued from, and never would we ever subject that to Louie or any of our rescues here at the Wildcat Sanctuary. So Louie's making his little spindle work for him. It kind of started out at the beginning of the live a little bit more level, and so now he's kind of got it a little bit at an angle now, and it's he's kind of able to lean back against his A-frame, lap away at that blood sickle. He now has that piece of meat a little bit closer to him too, so I think he's catching a few licks of that with his tongue as well. But I can tell Louie's going to have a fun and busy afternoon in front of him. And certainly I'm looking forward next week to kind of going in more detail about some of the purpose of why, feeding our cats in different ways is important for our rescues, and not just using the food chute every day or just tongue feeding them every day, and talking about the variety of ways we feed them. I keep on looking at food, and I keep on wanting to already go into some of my feed a feline or fill the freezer talk, but we are going to wait until next week, and I appreciate you guys. But a fun little kickoff, or especially as we're talking food, maybe a fun little appetizer for the festivities next week. Andrea, I love that comment. And I think that when I think of a wild jaguar, those are the types of clips that come to mind. Andrea, you were here for a recent volunteer tour as one of our dedicated volunteers. Some big tiger chuffs coming over from Dimitri and Griffin across the way. But Andrea, you're mentioning that Tyler, one of our caretakers, was telling you how jaguars can attack and bite through the hides of alligators in the wild, and that's exactly right. If anybody wants to, have a few little entertaining videos to watch after this, just type in, jaguar alligator or jaguar crocodile, and you are going to find some pretty startling and really impressive glimpses at how formidable of a predator Louie is, and some of the steep banks that they're dragging up those alligators, and hey, or crocodiles, is we love all animals, but such is life out in the wild and among the animal kingdom, and it really is incredible to see those feats of strength, and just to get a sense of scale for how powerful these animals are, and why here at the Wildcat Sanctuary they're treated with such reverence. Going through a few more comments. Marcy Sanborn saying, yep, strongest bite force of the cats. And I mean, you can just see it. We've been, kind of catching Louie at certain angles, and you'll get him at the right angle, and it almost looks like his head is football shaped. It just is very wide. It has those he has angular cheeks, which are his muscles. It really is incredible how we're able to glean just how wild or just how incredible the programming of Mother Nature is to make him the predator that he is. Barbara, I think you raise a good point. You're you're noticing, some of the dripping coming from the blood sickle, and you have a suspicion that Louie is going to be, he's going to have about an hour of work in front of him, which I think is, a pretty good chunk. I know that caretakers also dropped some scent in there. Word on the street is that Louie is a absolute hound for cinnamon, so I think there's some additional scents around his yard. I also mentioned that this is just some enrichment for Louie, and so he'll be getting his full meal later as well. So Louie still got a full day, and you're right. I'm glad that he is using that sharp mind that we know him to have to solve this puzzle. A lot of people getting excited about just how formidable that some of those wild jaguar videos are, and that's exactly right. And this is a fun thing. I can use my my media interns who are right next to me. I know that Louie is on the younger side, Amy Brooks, but does anybody have one of the TWS phones and can look at the exact age of Louie? I believe he's 4 years old, 3? Okay, 1 year off. So, darn it, Gail, I try, Amy, I try 150 rescues. I think I was 1 year off, but Mr. Louie is 3 years young. And Louie would be the youngest, or Louie and Lila would be the 2 youngest members who came from the West Coast Game Park Safari Seizure in Bandon, Oregon. And I hear the sound of siblings being siblings. Sometimes there can be a little bit of a reestablishing of dominance between Dimitri and Griffin, and their caretakers are actually right over here, as a matter of fact. Oh, wow. That's a Ukraine Pride carol. Wow, that really sounded like it was not Sophie and Gino who started that carol from Pride Prairie. And actually, that actually sounded like one of the members of the Pride. And I say that not because I know the Pride members' voices. It's because I'm almost unfamiliar with their voices. And those were a pair of some unfamiliar carols coming from Pride Prairie. I did hear a little bit of Gino and Sophie in there, but I think that was a Pride Prairie started lion carol, which is pretty cool for me to hear. Ellen Simmons remarking how you're amazed to see that he's focusing on the blood sickle and why not the meat. You know, Ellen, that's a good point. I think that he's found his something he likes. And, you know, if you were tuned in a little earlier, I'm sure you maybe would have noticed him yanking and pulling. That's actually how everything's kind of at an angle. Well, and he maybe heard your words too, Ellen. But he's been doing a good job of, you know, definitely focus on that blood sickle, but it looks like he's now rotating around after your words of wisdom, it seems. Well, and I like Kirsten's explanation too. Something a lot of us can identify with is, hey, dessert first. Gene Morrison getting excited for a good reason. Woohoo! A lion carol and Louie all in the same live. Oh yeah, and Louie is now getting very serious about some of those skewered pieces of meat. Dave, shout out to you, Dave. Hope all is well, and hope you're ready to enjoy a nice fall weekend. And I agree. I think we've been missing out on a live with Mango, and certainly so. I know that we will be getting Mango on a live soon. I appreciate that. And just overall, I think there's a level of appreciation I have for everyone. I think I have, you know, 3 budding new interns. Gretchen's been doing an awesome job and has been here since August. But ultimately, you know, still 3 budding interns who were trying to get on the right track as they set out on their internship here. So maybe a little irregular of a week in terms of live posts, but nonetheless, and I appreciate everyone's patience. Gail Cook's asking, do jaguars roar, purr, growl? Jaguars roar. They can growl. To my knowledge, they cannot purr. I don't believe they possess the vocal cords to do that, or the style of vocal cords, that is, to do that, because that's really kind of the variations that you're going to see is, you know, well, why can a tiger chuff and not purr? And why can a cougar purr and not chuff, or what have you? And that it's those little differences and idiosyncrasies in how their vocal cords are designed, actually. And that is 1 piece of beef down and removed from the skewer. I think, you know, coupled with kind of that bite strength we were talking about, as well as sawing some of that aside of that piece of meat with his sharp jaguar teeth, Louie was able to pluck that piece of meat right off of his spindle there. Louie, we might have to make sure your pool is filled so you can go in and take a bath. I am laughing to myself a little bit, Louie, that he's getting dripped on slightly by his blood sickle, but that'll make for some very worthwhile grooming later today, which we know is one of the greatest feline pastimes there is. Back to the blood sickle. You know, it's maybe kind of like, you know, going to your meal, going back to your cool drink, going to your meal, going back to your cool drink. But cool, everyone. We've had a really fun little live post with Mr. Louie here. And I know I've been kind of zoomed in here on the action, but it's always worth reminding and showing off what your support makes possible for cats like Louie. It's free roaming spaces like this, species specific spaces like this. We're talking about how the jaguar is maybe seeking out their prey from up above and looking at some of Louie's skywalks and the vertical space that he gets to take advantage of. We don't want to forget about that, even though we're zoomed in on this beautiful jaguar enjoying his food enrichment. So I'll hang out for a minute or so longer. I'll make sure I'm not missing any comments or questions. But nonetheless, it's been a fun kickoff to Friday with everyone. Hey, goofball, are you having fun? I can tell you have your happy face on. And even better, I've been referring to the piece of meat on there as beef, but even better, it's beef heart. It's full of lots of valuable vitamins and minerals and nutrients for a rescued jaguar like yourself, Louie. But I think this piece looks like a little bit bigger of a one to work on, and so I'm excited that this is going to be a nice little puzzle for you, and I'm also interested to see what comes of that watermelon, Louie. Are you going to spin that around a few times? Is that going to be any interest of you, or is it all about the pieces of meat? Is it all about the blood sickle? I guess we'll find out. And, you know, Kirsten, now you're starting to ask questions that are, you know, I really wish I had Olivia at my side. She was kind of our resident, animal biologist, factoidist, what have you. But don't they pull their prey into the trees after they hunt too? Or is that a different animal? I know the leopard is known to do that. I wouldn't put it past, at least just from thinking about it, for a jaguar to do the same with their prey. But don't, trust me as the next David Attenborough or what have you. Go to your Google or what have you, and I think there you'll be able to find a more reliable answer. But looks like Mr. Louie pulled out just a piece of that skewered beef heart, and he'll be on to the next. But I'm going to go ahead and say so long to everyone, and thank you for tuning in to this live post today on this Friday. A little bit of a gloomy day, a little bit of an overcast, but really a busy day around the sanctuary. We have a crew day today. We have another crew day tomorrow, and then, heck, I believe a crew day on Sunday as well. So a busy weekend around the sanctuary. The cats are going to have a fulfilled and wonderful weekend of living wild at heart. And I will be back here Monday along with the rest of the media crew and everyone here at the Wildcat Sanctuary. Just like Tammy mentioned during her Wildcat wrap-up yesterday, we have an exciting little short but sweet fundraiser coming to all things TWS next week. So we hope you'll keep a close eye and ear for that. But nonetheless, everyone, have an excellent rest of your Friday and have a fun and safe weekend. We'll see you back here at the Wildcat Sanctuary next week.